Welcome. I am joined here with Jason and Tamara. My name is Jay. We all are at Northeast Christian Church, and we serve in a variety of ways here. Well, what we really want to spend this half hour talking about is how we have seen some awesome change in the community that we've just been able to witness over the last 10 years, but especially this year. You know, you turn on the news a lot, and you're expecting maybe a litany of difficult things that happened that day or longer difficult stories. And often we don't have time for the really great stuff, especially in our own community. And so these next 30 minutes, we're just going to celebrate some amazing things that have been happening around our city this year that we want to make sure that you get to hear. Now, I haven't been here since the beginning. Jason, you have? Tell us, how did Love the Ville get started?
Yeah, this church has always had a heart for the community. Northeast Christian has. But it was really just 10 years ago in 2014 when we turned up the temperature, when we started a ministry in Clifton. And so we went to that part of town and we just asked a simple question: how can we help? And so we packed up buses on a Sunday morning, and instead of having a Sunday service, we drove those 1,700 people down to Clifton, and we served the businesses, the homes, the community, and it was a beautiful thing. And what we heard from everyone is, when can we do this again? And so we said, this has to become a regular rhythm of our community. We need to be unleashing the love of God every day, everybody, everywhere. So over the last 10 years, that's what we've been trying to do better and better, not just in our community, but in our schools and also around the world.
That's awesome. Thanks, Jason. Tamara, you've been here for most of these 10 years as well. What are some of your favorite stories, especially of this year, things we could celebrate that happened this year?
Well, Jay, first of all, I love the collaboration that takes place between churches and nonprofits throughout our city, because together we can do more. Together we make a bigger impact. One of my favorite stories comes out of West Louisville with the ACE Project. Miss Rose leads the ACE Project, and she started this nonprofit for families who had lost a child to gun violence. And the impact she is making is big and it's real. And she has started one program called Men in the Making, where they take young men and they disciple them, and they teach them life skills, and they also teach them how to be entrepreneurs and businessmen. And we had a few men from our church walk alongside them, provide some lumber and power tools. Like, who doesn't like to use a power tool?
Yep.
And they built some picnic tables and then talked about the importance of sitting around tables and having dinner together and having real conversations. So it was beautiful. And one of my favorite stories from our school partnerships comes out of Westport Middle School, where we were able to walk alongside them and co-host a spring fling dance for middle schoolers.
Very nice. So you're going to show us your dance move?
Not today. Okay. Maybe another time.
Not today.
But we were able to walk alongside them and throw a really great party for students with moderate and severe disabilities. So I just love how our church not only uses their resources, but they use their time, and they really do unleash God's love throughout the city.
Yeah, that's amazing. There's so many things. We could be here a long time talking about them all, but there's one other we know we want to hit. We've been able to participate with 3 different residential recovery programs this year. Refuge for Women, who is beginning to open a house for traffic victims in our community, which is awesome. Recenter, which is in a new location as they continue to provide housing and transitional services for folks that have faced homelessness, a long-term shelter program that helps people get back on their feet. And then, Jason, you went and saw some of the third one, so share about that.
That's right. Prisoners Hope, that is an incredible organization here run by a guy named Daryl Davis, who has such a heart. And he just wants people who are coming out of incarceration to get the best start that they can back into life. And he had told me that where they were helping folks with their first month rent, which is an incredible way to help these guys get on their feet, a lot of the places he wouldn't want to stay. And so he opened up his own hotel where now these guys can get off to a running start, get their feet underneath them, and start their brand new life on the outside. It's just beautiful what they're doing there.
Yeah, it's been amazing to see just in the short time that I've been here. So thank you both for your investment and your leadership over the 10 years to be able to pull this off. This is what we're going to spend this half hour doing. There are so many stories that we could tell. We could actually keep you all day if you want to just stay here, but it's only going to be half an hour. There are 3 different things we're going to go through, so I hope that you'll stick around. We're going to talk to schools. That's one of the first places with Love the Ville that we invested, and you're going to hear some great stories. We're going to talk specifically about the east-west kind of divide in our city and some ways we can serve really no matter what part of the city we're in. And then finally, we're going to talk with some folks that have come from other places in the world to live here and talk through one of Louisville's greatest strengths, which is our hospitality and welcoming people from all over who move into our neighborhoods. So stick with us. You're going to want to celebrate with us. You know, we often don't hear great things about our schools, so I am here with Darius, with Amy, and with Jamira, and we're going to hear some great things about schools from this fall, from earlier this year. You know, it can be a struggle for students. We've all seen students and kids, maybe in our own families, that go through things that make it difficult when they show up at school. So even before school started, they're already having a bad day or a bad week, or, you know, for some of them, some really hard things that they've had to deal with for years. And yet there are so many bright spots in our schools that we don't even know. So we're going to hear about some of those right now. First, Darius, if you'll introduce yourself. Go ahead. Who are you? Where do you serve?
Hello, my name is Darius Cox. I am the community liaison at Englehart Elementary.
And where is Englehart?
Englehart is in Old Louisville on the corner of First and Kentucky.
That's awesome. And tell us, just give us a story or an example. Like, what is something you've seen this fall that we can celebrate as a community?
Well, in the middle of October, we had a clothing drive to give away free, gently used items that more than likely helped about 75 to 100 families.
And how does, so put yourself, I know you probably do this naturally, but I don't, our audience may not, like put us in the life of the child who maybe isn't really thrilled with their options of what to wear to school. And all of a sudden after this, they've made some choices and they're able to choose what they get to wear.
Well, a lot of kids, you know, we have a lot of kids that don't receive a lot of things. So when you have good clothes, new clothes, gently used clothes, you come to school and you feel really good. When you feel really good about yourself, you tend to give 100% and your behavior is 10 times better.
They help how you feel, which helps how you act. Yeah, for sure. So Amy, go ahead, introduce yourself. Where do you serve?
Hi, I'm Amy Straight, and I am the proud principal of Barrett Traditional Middle School. And we are in the Crescent Hill neighborhood.
Awesome. And how can people in the community, people at the school, come alongside kids to help them thrive that you've seen?
Absolutely. We know that it is vital for us as a city, us as a community, to have a strong public education system. Our students' success is our success. So whether you have students in the school system or not, it's incumbent upon all of us to try to help do what we can to lift up our students. And we know that the research is clear. There's tremendous research connecting a student's sense of belonging to their student achievement. So the more that they feel connected to their school, the more that they feel that they belong there, the better that they will ultimately do. And so as community members, whether that's participating in something like Northeast School Blitz or volunteering to read to students, to mentor, to host a program after school, to coach, to sponsor, whatever it is, participating in a drive, anything that you can do that helps a student feel more connected and a greater sense of belonging with their school will benefit the child, and ultimately that will benefit all of us.
So it's fascinating. We didn't stage this at all. Your answers both have to do with the environment that the children are in and how that makes them feel so that they can succeed in school. I don't know that I would have guessed that. I think I would have assumed like they need the right, I don't know, textbook or laptop or Chromebook or whatever it is. So I think that's really, really interesting that it's that social emotional well-being really drives how they're learning in school.
Right. It's all of the above. So certainly, JCPS is working very hard to make sure they have all of those things too. The way that the community can tie in is to come behind and pick up some of those intangibles, or sometimes very tangible when it really is about the outside of your school. You know, when we have School Blitz and people come and help clean our buildings up and get them ready for the school year, it looks like a load of mulch, but it's really a lot more. It's really a student walking up on the first day of school, seeing that their building looks like someplace that people really care about, and knowing if they care about this building, they're going to care about me.
That's great. Thanks. Jamira, we're going to switch and talk specifically about choice zone schools. So first, of course, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jamira Johnson, and I am the director of Choice Zone programs for Jefferson County Public Schools.
Sweet. So for those that may not be familiar, what's different about a choice zone program?
Well, in 2022, the new student assignment plan was passed. And so historically, our schools, 13 schools in the West and downtown, did not have a choice in what school that they could go to. And now, as of 2022, they have a choice to either choose a close to home option or a far away option. So this is why it's called the choice zone.
Okay. And what are some of the needs that you typically see with students in those schools probably similar to other schools, but maybe some that are different than a typical school.
Well, one thing I must say is choice zone schools are in underserved communities. And so our students have more challenges and also the resources. So the district has made it a huge priority to provide resources to these schools, but also the community has poured into our schools as well, particularly Northeast Christian.
Well, thank you. And we're thrilled to be a part of it. JCPS asked us to get more engaged in the choice zone schools. And it's been one of the best new things that we did this year for sure. I'm curious, and maybe I wouldn't know the answer to this. Do you have to have a kid in the school to join the PTA? Or if you are maybe a grandparent who doesn't have school-age kids anymore, but you live down the street, can you get involved in the PTA?
All volunteers are welcome. All volunteers are welcome. We have, like I said, 13 schools. And if anyone wants to volunteer at these schools, you have to go through a background check and follow the protocols. But our schools are welcoming, and they welcome the volunteers.
So any of us could get involved in the school your kids, your family are in, or in the school that's down the street from you or near your workplace,
and
we could serve?
We welcome the collaboration.
Yeah, well, we would love to encourage people to be able to do more of that. Let me circle back and ask either of you all to chime in here. Just one real quick story, 30, 45 seconds, a student whose life that you have just seen transform, or they really turned a corner this year.
There are so many. One that jumps out to me, speaking of this idea of anybody can get involved, anybody can make a difference. One student in particular that jumps out to me is, I'm smiling because I can see his face. He desperately wanted to make a team, one of our athletic teams, but he had never played that sport before. He was so nervous. He had been struggling with some different things. Some of the adults in the building made some deals with him to stay after school and work with him, throw that ball, get ready. And when he made that team, you would have thought that we had won the Super Bowl. It was, it's the reason that we do all the things that we do. It's not for the thank you, and it's not for anything else other than that moment where that student gets that sense of success after all that hard work. That's what we're there for.
That's awesome. And those are the stories that they're not going to make the news. We're not going to hear about them, but we as a community want to be able to celebrate that. There's amazing life change happening in our schools, and we have been just thrilled with our opportunity, with our congregation, with other churches in the community, other organizations that have jumped in with us to help us love the schools, and we just hope to see it grow over the next few years. So thank you all for your time today. Thanks for being a part of all the work that we've been able to do over the years, loving the schools. From here, we're going to have a conversation with Tammy Hawkins, who is now the councilwoman for District 1, and she's going to give us some updates from there. And with Wes, who leads a nonprofit in Portland, who has managed to convince students, I can't do this with my own kids. He's got his students in his after-school program finishing their homework before they play basketball. So come back and hear about it.
Christmas is upon us, so at Northeast Christian Church, we want you to mark your calendars and join us as we celebrate the true reason for the season. We'll be offering multiple Christmas service times on the 23rd and the 24th, so be sure to check out the full list on our site. Every service will be family-friendly with your favorite Christmas music, a special kids moment, and our traditional candlelight carols. Oh, and don't forget to arrive early for hot chocolate and photos. We can't wait to celebrate Christmas with you.
Welcome back. We are celebrating great things from across our city. I'm joined by three more friends, Wes, Tamara, and Tammy. And we're going to talk this segment about some of the things in West Louisville that we have met some great people to be invited into and to find ways that we can connect and serve. And Tamara, you helped start these relationships. So tell us, how did you meet these fine people?
Well, when we started serving in West Louisville, we primarily started there because we saw a lot of assets there. West Louisville is full of wonderful people, great assets. There's mutual transformation that takes place through our Love the Ville outreach movement. But I met Tammy, first of all, during COVID, the COVID years.
Oh, fun.
When everything in Louisville basically shut down, we were blessed to be able to open up our church to be a food pantry, because the shelves at the Kroger and other grocery stores were empty, and we were blessed to really serve our city in that way. And that's how I initially met Tammy. She had opened up Parkland Neighborhood Food Mart, and so we were able to partner alongside her to really meet some very basic needs in that community. And just recently, I have met Wes through one of our other outreach associates, Leslie Bowman, and we loved watching Wes do his thing, go to work, and really empower students to have a transformation within their studies and academics, as well as just having fun and making better choices. And so that's how I met these two fine folks.
All right, Wes, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I promised our audience that you had the secret sauce for helping kids do their homework before they played basketball. I can't even get my own kids to do this. So what is that secret sauce?
We do. Secret sauce is simply this: nobody touches the court before they touch the classroom. And DELTA is the acronym, Developing Educated Leaders Through Athletics. So what we really do is we get kids in there for their love of sports, basketball and volleyball specifically, through after-school programs, summer camps, tutoring. But our main goal is to better them as students and make them employable young adults at some point.
And how have you seen, I know you've seen change. What are some changes you've seen in students this year?
A ton. For one, we've added a couple partnerships to schools that pretty much guarantee our attendance around 50 kids a day. We don't go above 8-to-1 staff to student ratio. So what that's allowed us to do is really kind of just focus on reading and literacy. We're a firm believer in order to be successful in this world, you must be able to read. If we got to use basketball as the motivation to do that, then that's what we'll do. But what we've been able to accomplish down there over the last 5 years has been amazing. We've been able to keep all of our programming 100% free. But thankful to community partners like yourselves. The kids keep coming back. I can't tell you the last time we've had to post, hey, we have openings in this program, and that says a lot. I think our retention level is about like 95% coming back. So we're grateful. Kids are getting better every day. Whatever we got to do to improve that reading is what we're going to do.
Yeah, thanks. That's wonderful. So, Tammy, District 1, why don't you start for our folks, some who may not know the numbers correctly. Where is District 1?
District 1 covers Park Duval, Parkland, Algonquin, Lake Dreamland, 28th to Garland.
Big area.
Yes, definitely.
I didn't mean to make that a quiz, so sorry.
That's okay.
But with that big of an area, you have no doubt seen a bunch of different things this year. What is something you think the community probably doesn't know this yet, but like they should, because they should celebrate it if they just knew. So here's your chance. What should we be celebrating?
Well, we should be celebrating that we have Thanksgiving coming up. Every year, we've been doing it for the last 3 to 4 years, partnering with Love the Ville and Delta as well. We partner with them just to help with boxes and removing barriers for food insecurities. That's vital in a lot of those areas. A lot of areas that I serve are very underserved areas. So I'm just so thankful.
Especially with food access.
Definitely.
So this gives them an opportunity over the holiday season to access some food for their families?
Yes. And we do that for Thanksgiving, and we also do that for Christmas.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. Well, that's great.
I want to jump in here
Please.
real quick, Jay, because Tammy's not going to brag on herself. But some of the untold stories that I think our community should celebrate is the way she serves our seniors in our community. That can often be overlooked and forgotten, and also the youth in our community. She helps run a football league in the California Park, and so it gives our students and youth an opportunity to use their gifts and spend their time wisely as opposed to just hanging out on the streets. So she spends a lot of her mornings, a lot of her evenings with our seniors and youth, and I just love her heart for those people groups.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Wes, what are some ways, just a minute or so, what are some ways people in the community can get involved and can help do what you're doing?
Yeah, as a small nonprofit that serves a lot of kids, volunteers are kind of the lifeline of Delta. So with that being said, you would be amazed at how taking 30 minutes a week to work on a kid with reading and literacy, we provide all the material, you just come, what type of difference that makes. If that's not your thing, you can come down, you can help with sports, But on Tuesday nights, we have a program called Books and Basketball. It's a 6-week commitment, only 30 minutes a night for the tutors, but there's always ways you can help at Delta. So we're grateful for any volunteers.
Yeah. Thanks, Wes. And Tammy, similarly, what, for people that see this, whether they're in District 1 or whether, they're in a different district where they live, like, what should we be doing to be responsible citizens, healthy neighbors, people who make our districts the kind of place we all want to live?
Well, one of the things that I will say that it's not about the West End, it's not about the East End, it's just about coming together collectively as a city. and just removing barriers. There's crime in the East End, there's crime in the West End. So just helping remove so many barriers to give kids hope, to keeping programs alive, such as the Delta Foundation, and just keep partnering with one another, collectively together.
Yeah, I mean, I think that working together, and so for other people, it may not, maybe their council person, it may be a nonprofit in their neighborhood, It may be a school like we just talked about, but a way to continue to work together really is the fabric of our community. Thank you all for sharing with us this afternoon, and if you all will stick with us, where we're going to head from here is to talk about being welcoming to new people in our community. Louisville, it's one of the things we're known for, is the people who come from around the world and end up living here, and how hospitable that Louisville is. And so that's what we're talking about next. I hope you'll join us. I am here with Pastor Urian from Send to the Luz and with Joseph from Kentucky Refugee Ministries. And you may not know this, but our city is one of the most hospitable cities in the country. We welcomed the third most refugees to Louisville in 2023 of any city in the U.S. We were behind Atlanta and Houston. And I think that's just amazing. So we're going to talk about that experience and how we as a city can continue to be hospitable and welcoming in that. So my first question is for you, Urian, if you'll introduce yourself and then share a little bit. You've been in Louisville 20 plus years now?
22 years.
Yeah, so I'm curious if you would share, why Louisville? Why do you stay? What do you love about Louisville? And I know you've had a lot of family, friends, people you know from home that have intentionally chosen to move to Louisville. So what is it about Louisville that draws so many people here from around the world?
All right, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's always a joy for me to talk about Louisville because I fell in love with this city 22 years ago. So I'm Julian Santi Esteban. I pastor in a Spanish church here in town that I started in 2004. So in my hometown, everybody was already talking about Louisville. Because most of Cubans want to stay in Miami, but the truth is that Louisville have something unique. Everybody want to experiment the American culture. So because back then we said, if we stay in Miami, we will never learn English. So one of the reasons that a lot of people pick up Louisville was, well, we know that we have to learn English there. Back then, today you can find any Spanish speaking in any bank, any grocery store, but back then we have to figure it out. Yeah. So it was very important to learn the language and learn the culture as well.
So people from other countries would actually like to speak English with me because it helps them practice their English?
Exactly.
And see, I always feel bad because, I can't speak any language besides English, so they don't have a choice with me. That's great.
Yes.
Thank you. So this is Joseph. Joseph works with KRM, which is one of the partners we partner with Love the Ville here. And we have resettled, I think we're on our third family walking with you guys this year. The most recent family from the Congo just arrived a couple weeks ago. And we have a group from within our congregation that is walking with them. And this is what you do like day in, day out. So if you'll kind of introduce yourself, what does that look like? And then how can people get involved? How can we help?
So specifically, my job is to go into the community and find and form groups who would be willing to work together to pair with one refugee family to help them assimilate to a new culture, to help them understand how to grocery shop, where to grocery shop, how to pay for those things, how to use a drain in the house, how to operate their thermostat. And your church has, again, as you mentioned, 3 times this year, taken on 3 different families, taken on meaning absorbed, and helped them to assimilate.
What are some of the really practical, when you share that, I kind of get intimidated. Like, I am not equipped to help a family through the trauma of years in a refugee camp. But our volunteers are doing some really practical things that I actually do every day without thinking about it. So what are some of the things that is their role as people to get engaged? What are some of the just normal things they do with families?
Absolutely. So the KRM staff are specialists, and they handle all the government agency kind of nuts and bolts issues. Your folks, co-sponsors, are really being good neighbors. So they're helping with domestic daily kinds of things. Do they know how to grocery shop? Do they know how to ride the bus? Do they know how to cross a street safely? And not just those basic things, but also taking them to do fun things like go on a picnic, experience the park systems here, go to a soccer game. All of these good neighbor welcome to the community. We want to see you thrive.
Yeah, well, that's really helpful. So for either of you, when I run into someone from somewhere else in the grocery store or a restaurant or just somewhere around town, how can I, as a citizen of Louisville, just be welcoming? How can I be hospitable? Like, how do I act so that someone from somewhere else feels like I'm glad they're here?
Well, we came in with so many questions. When you are new in the city, especially new in the country, you have a lot of questions. So one of the things that we always have questions, where to get this, where to go. And that's one of the things, to be a good citizen telling, hey, I think that this is a good place for you to shop, this is a good place for you to get this help, and this is a good place for you to get or clothing, like donation, always orientation is very helpful. Understanding that our limited English in the beginning is, so be patient when you try to speak with someone who don't speak English or where English is not the first language. So just be loving and kind. I got so many history when I came to this country, neighbors knocking the door and bringing just a frame picture. Hey, I brought this, can I hang it in the wall for you? And we felt love and we felt welcome, and that's a great thing to have.
Great. Are there ways people from the community can engage directly in what you're doing with KRM?
Absolutely. So I described one way, through a co-sponsorship, a group of people helping one particular family. But there are many ways that individuals can help periodically throughout a month, throughout a week, throughout a year. For example, some in-class tutoring, English as a second language tutoring, also helping with yard work for a family that's at a rental home, helping also with our mobile food pantry, helping with our elder care program, helping mothers who have young children, helping with child care and English as a second language. That list goes on, including some office work. So kyrm.org is the place to go to find out about those volunteer experiences.
And I'm going to guess, is Facebook for Senda de Luz, is that the best place to learn more about the church?
Yes, definitely.
Yep, Facebook for Senda de Luz. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Thanks for your time. And thank you for joining us for this. Jesus says to go and love your neighbor. And we have heard some great stories of exactly that. Just neighbors caring for each other, the little small repeated investments that really make a difference in our community. If you'd like to join us in this movement, we would love to have you. Come check us out, necchurch.org. You can find out all about it and how you and your church can participate together with us. Let's go love the Ville.